Hey, Phil, 61's the new age you can retire. What do you think? All right, guys. This is a super common requested one, so I thought I'd just knock it out at the front of the podcast and say, no, incorrect. 60 is the official age that you can access your superannuation. I don't know where this has started. I think it started somewhere online and it's just gaining traction. It's probably just one of those things where people are super worried about it coming in the future. So they're just talking about it on Facebook, X, somewhere else.
Yeah, look, it could be. Maybe there's been a productivity commission recommendation or something come out that we haven't seen. I don't know. But yeah, I was quite surprised to find out that so many people are Googling preservation age being 61. It's never been 61. It's an interesting one.
And to clarify, preservation age means the age you can access your superannuation and retire. And what that means is you will write a letter to your superannuation fund and you will write a letter or fill in a form and you would say, hey, it's my 60th birthday today. I would like to please have some of my superannuation. You will submit that form and then they will confirm your identity via an ID check. And then you can withdraw either a lump sum or an ongoing pension from your superannuation account via an account-based pension.
Maybe.
If you're 61?
No, but, well, you know, there's a few extra boxes you got to tick. I suppose, and that's the thing. Like we see this topic does come up a lot. We get asked about it a lot because preservation age has been progressively changing. So it used to be 55. So a lot of people still have that stuck in their heads. It progressively changed based on your date of birth, but now everybody is preservation age is 60 because anyone born after 1964 at 60, and we're past that point. So the preservation age doesn't necessarily mean retirement. You can go and start ripping your super out. It means you've got access to it, but how much you can access depends on what's going on in your life. So, yes, what Scott's saying is right with a couple of caveats.
Yeah, I don't think you should do it. Like, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of a split between Phil clients and Scott clients. And I tend to be a little bit more forceful about people keeping in the workforce and saying, no, don't. If you see our prior podcast, you will have seen that basically working for an additional 2 years in your 60s makes a massive difference at the back end. And whilst there's some effective tax planning strategies you can do around retiring, we had an example of which we had a client that had a self-managed super fund. They wanted to have access to their money. They were over the age of 60, but they were still working full time. And the auditor, and they said, well, can I have my money? And they said, well, you're working full time? And they said, yes. They said, well, no, you need to be out of work. And the auditor said 3 months, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that sounds like an auditor being an auditor.
Yeah, that sounds like one of these ones. Just going, I'll have a crack on it.
Just pick a date. Look, the reality is once you're over 60, you've reached preservation age. Preservation age does not mean you automatically have access to super, but it means you're of an age where you can start ticking boxes that may give you access. So I'll give you the quick nuts and bolts, the high-level version, but once you're over 60, you can meet a definition of retirement by leaving an arrangement of employment. So I've left my job. I've left an arrangement of employment. I can now tick that box on the form to say, yes, I want to take a lump sum from my super or start an account-based pension, retirement pension, start taking some income.
What happens if I'm working part-time? What happens if I work for myself?
Yeah, great question. So if you work part-time, fine, same thing. You've left an arrangement of employment. When they're looking at self-employed, it does become more complex, particularly if you're like a director of a company or something like that. But what they're going to look at to meet that test is, are you still deriving an income through personal exertion? So if we think about that scenario, say I wanted to retire tomorrow, I can still be a director of the company. I can still receive shares. As long as I'm not deriving income from actually coming out and meeting with clients, still giving financial advice, charging fees, and deriving income through personal exertion. I can still be a director of the company. I can still, well, probably my director might get a bit funny, but I can still be a shareholder and receive share income.
Yep.
And retire. But if you can't meet that left an arrangement of employment since turning 60, and this gets tricky for people that maybe left employment at 59 or 58, you can't tick the box on the form that says I've left an arrangement of employment since turning 60. But you can say that I have retired and I have no intention to return to substantial work. So substantial work, 10 hours a week is usually the test that they sort of apply. Whereas if it's under the left an arrangement of employment definition, if you get another job in 6 months' time, well, so be it. That's okay. Any new contributions will be locked up again, but everything else is available. So there's your retirement definitions post-preservation age. If you want to access your super after preservation age, but you're still working, you can do that as well. But it comes with some restrictions. You require what's called a transition to retirement pension. And the difference between a transition to retirement pension and a retirement pension are that you are limited to 10% of the balance as a withdrawal within a financial year. So you don't have full access. So if I start a transition to retirement pension, so I'm still working, but I want access to some of my super, and I can't say I'm retired yet, I can do that via a transition to retirement pension. So I put some of my super in there and I can start to draw on that. I can take one lump sum a year, or I can take fortnightly payments, whatever, it doesn't matter. But the maximum I can take is 10% of the balance at the start of the financial year. So if I put $200,000 in there, I can take a maximum of $20,000 that financial year.
What happens if I've got a property inside myself in a super fund?
Yeah, might be a pain. You'd want to hope you've got some liquid assets so you can start pulling some money out. But otherwise, you can't rip a brick out of the wall to take some money out. So
and by liquid assets, what Phil's saying is the actual cash within your super fund. So if you've set up a super fund, and I had a client email me this week and say, they're like, hey, Scott, I've got a super fund. Can I invest in a startup? And the answer was yes, but you sure you want to?
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do that? Because it's locked. So liquidity means just how easy you can get cash out. If you've got an industry fund, it's not something that you have had to deal with before, because the industry funds, what they will usually do is there's so much money coming into them. When a pension request is made, they usually just match them off against each other. So they don't actually need to sell the asset. So money coming in, money coming out, you actually don't have the beneficial owner because it's owned by someone else. But that's how an industry fund operates. If you've got a wrap account or a self-managed super fund account, it's quite different. You need to manage your cash inside the fund, the liquidity inside the fund a little bit differently. So if you've got a big asset, e.g. a property, if there's some debt there as well, your actual equity might be less. So there will also be a calculation on that, which you'd need to speak to your accountant, auditor, or us to make sure it's okay. And you'll also hit the minimum requirements. So you get a minimum drawdown as well of the account.
That's right.
It increases as you get older, because I don't want these gigantic balances of people transferring them.
Yep.
Bless the government, bless the tax office.
Don't want any money sitting in tax-free pension phase. Get it out, slosh it around the economy, Yeah,
100%. So you've also got the minimum requirements. So if you've got a tax-free pension coming at you, there's a minimum amount you need to take out too. And if you don't have the cash inside the fund, then it gets a little bit tricky. So that's also a thing to be mindful of.
Yeah. And look, you've just mentioned tax-free pension. We should probably cover that quickly, because there are some differences between a transition to retirement pension and a retirement pension as well. In any case, if you're taking withdrawals from your superannuation over 60, no matter how you've met the definition, they're always going to come to you tax-free. So that's cool. No issues. But the difference between a transition to retirement account and a retirement account or retirement pension, and the reason you want to try and get into a retirement pension if you can, is because the retirement pension does not pay tax on earnings. Transition to retirement account still pays 15% tax on earnings, the same as your accumulation account would. That's a lovely one the government brought in for us a few years back as well. So that's cool. And look, another one, just touching on that property question. Look, that can be something, if you are one of these people, self-managed super fund, property inside, and you want to sell that property coming into retirement, that is something to plan as well. Like, I can think of a case I'm working on at the moment. Exactly that scenario. Got a property, want to sell it. Now, there is a big difference in outcomes depending on the order of steps that we take, right?
Tell me.
Well, if we sell that property today, it's going to come with a nice capital gains tax bill.
As I'm 59 years old and I'm still working full-time?
Yeah, or even if you're 60, 61, whatever, still working.
If it's in accumulation phase.
Yeah, and we sell that property, you're going to pay capital gains tax. If we very simply flip the order of what we're doing, retire first, move the SMSF to pension phase, then sell the property, no capital gains tax.
Off we go.
So, massive difference in outcomes. We could be talking tens of thousands of dollars here just by doing things in the right order. So, also,
do you want to pay tens of thousands of dollars to the government? Like, is that a thing you want to do? Like, just hold fire. Hold fire. We've seen it. People get really excited. Like, great, no worries. I'm selling the property. I'm going to be retiring next month. Off we go. Ugh, so close. You worked hard. You built up a superannuation nest egg, and right at the end, you just fell over. Pay the government more than you needed to.
And look, this is, again, probably a podcast for another time, but I've seen a lot lately where stuff has just been, people have done a great job and accumulated a ton of wealth. but they didn't get any advice at the start, and they've accumulated in all the wrong ways. So massive tax bills rolling into retirement, not much we can do about it. So we might talk more about that another day, but just the order of steps that you do things in can have a big difference. So, if you're going down this path of buying properties for retirement assets or shares or anything, really, talk to someone at the start, not at the end.
Right. This is going to be a pretty quick episode, but I want to bang on to the same thing I bang on every year at this time of year. Black Friday sale.
Here we go. Yeah.
Every year I do it. If you're on our email list, you're going to get an email from me. I famously have a Excel spreadsheet. Well, it's actually a Google sheet of every Christmas present I've given every family member and my wife going back to 2014.
Well, organized, man.
It was because I was unorganized and I forgot what I'd given everyone. I was like, oh my God, I'm just putting together a spreadsheet here. So I can remember what I gave them last year and I'm going to give them this year. Now I give famously practical gifts. For example, the entire family got stick vacuum cleaners a couple of years ago and it was quite the hit. Quite the hit. Everyone uses them. Practical present, if it's basically if it's a quality product, if it's high value and if it's going to last for a long time and it improves your quality of life, I'm buying that for you for Christmas. Now, I'm not exactly the most exciting guy to receive presents from. But if you need an iPhone case, you're getting one from me for Christmas. I do it every year. Make a list. Who in your family are you going to be buying Christmas presents for? Have you got any friends or have you got any kids? Is your wife, husband, do they have a birthday sort of close as well? This is the sort of next 3 weeks to start planning. Organize your Christmas gifts now. Get on top of them. Plan it out. Order them. Put them aside, and you're done. You don't need to worry about Christmas come the 20th of December, and things are getting a bit hairy.
There's someone who has witnessed Scott's artful preparation for Christmas. Mate, he's a very good gift giver.
I'm going to give it a plug. Anything coffee related. I do love this book. This book's like $40. If you've got a friend or family who has a love of coffee like I do, anything from the Hoff Daddy, James Hoffman's always a good Christmas present. I don't know. This is a financial planning podcast. It's just going askew, isn't it? But that's it. That's my podcast or our podcast we get to.
Yeah, that's right. We can talk about whatever the hell we want.
So get organized. Get on it. That's my rant over. Do you want to, Phil, should we touch on anything else about 61 not being the official retirement age?
Yeah, stop watching weird stuff and Googling it. I mean, watch us, but yeah, wherever this 61 things come from, I got no idea. I couldn't even find it when I started Googling it.
I know where it's coming from. It's coming from because it's a thing that makes sense. Because we've got a huge amount of Gen Xers that are getting ready for retirement. If you're listening to this, you're probably a Gen Xer, late Gen X. And we know that the pyramid of the demographic pyramid is like kind of like this. We've got more older people than we have younger people. That cohort of older people is getting closer and closer to retirement age. And we know that the amount of money that's sitting in the treasury at the moment with the taxes that are being raised is going to be less than the revenue that they're going to be bringing in. So every year we're going to have an incrementally higher debt load, which will then have a higher interest load, which will mean there'll be less services for the population, which will then be impacting the ability for people to access their super. So the government's going to try and pull every lever they possibly can. So it indicatively makes sense. That's my view. What do you think?
Maybe you could just tax large multinationals appropriately and stop pushing back the retirement age for the average man. But that's another conversation.
All right. Well, I'll take thank you for that one, Phil. I'll take my tinfoil hat off and we'll just go with that. All right, guys. Thanks so much for checking out the podcast. We see you. We see your comments. We appreciate them. Please do subscribe. We're trying to grow this channel. We want more versions of you, and we're going to keep this type of content. So if you're interested in this, hit that subscribe button.
Beautiful.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.